Frank, really, really amazing presentation. I see a lot of opportunity for you. Then Tulu, myself, and DAS organization, we're going to invest $50,000 in your company. We're happy to open up an SPV for you for $1 million with your company. So, really. We have another investor.
If Arash is investing, I'm investing.
All right, good. We have another investor. So, congratulations.
Well, yes, sir. There you go.
Got it.
Amazing. Congratulations.
That's how it's deal. You got to hold them too.
That's right. Better than a
30
contract.
minutes on the clock.
Good job. That was cool. Yes, that's what I said.
Okay. I have been warned and threatened. I have 29 minutes. That gives me 1 minute to go over.
Correct.
I'm sitting here with 4 people I know very well. I have to talk fast. They have to talk fast. For one of the first times I've written a script so I can stay on time. I have a timer. I have a timer sheet over here that tells me who gets what, how much time, and everything like that. So I was all set to go. And I listened to Brian this morning, right? And he changed my speech a little bit because he said to be a good process of the new product, and in this case, disruptors, right? It has to be not just a shiny object. It should lower your overhead, provide superior patient experience, and increase your revenue. And I think he's sitting here looking at that exact thing that he was talking about this morning. So this is really exciting for me. So what I'm going to do is introduce each of the people. If you want their bios, just go to LinkedIn. I'm going to just introduce them briefly and get a little talk about what each company is all about. What is the company there? What are they doing? And at the end, I'm going to wrap up and say where they're going, where they're headed. So I'm going to first start with Lone Moses, sitting left over here. Lone, I'm going to give him a little biography because he went to MIT. It's right near my house. I didn't know that. I visited. I really visited. I swear. And his background is in orthopedic surgery. He's done some robotics and orthopedic surgery. He's actually done some work in the sports world, also in special effects. We'll talk about that some other time. And what he saw was we've been placing implants with these cone beams, these surgical guides, and he had this knowledge of robotics, and he thought, why not bring that into dentistry? And the question is, why did you bring that into dentistry?
Great question. Everyone hear me?
Yeah.
So we had a background in robotic surgery. We kind of did this for knee replacements, hip replacements. A company called Mako Surgical that was acquired by Stryker years ago now for about a year and a half. So it was a great successful exit. My co-founders and I wanted to find a different medical market. So it happened my father is a retired endodontist, and we started looking at the dental space. And really, we had a critical moment. We were watching periodontist down in South Florida, where we're based, do a dual arch case trying to use surgical guides. And we saw him live webcast this case and started to struggle with all the struggles that you're all familiar with surgical guides. And he was hand-waving through it, making it look as great as he possibly could, but we knew, having seen the same kind of story in orthopedics, where they had custom patient-specific instrumentation, and we knew that the need was there to guide the doctor hand in hand, help them deliver the accuracy and precision that they're looking for, but get rid of all the headaches that come with custom manufacturing using a surgical guide. And so that was kind of an aha moment for us when we saw the same kind of technology that was in orthopedics for 30 years that got disrupted with robotics was also present in dental. And so it became clear to us that dental implants was a great way to go for robotic-assisted technology.
And what sort of pitfalls did you run into that you went to reach a certain point you thought this is great on some point, but
There's lots of others when you're doing disruptive technology. I think the key is building a great team, have world-class engineers. We had solved similar problems before in orthopedics. So things like registering the patient to the imaging, tracking the patient. One key technology we had to really innovate in was on the tracking, where you might see with other camera navigation systems, they use stereoscopic cameras to see the patient, to see the drill, and kind of give you that GPS guidance. But in dental, where you're dealing with small workspaces, line of sight becomes a real challenge. And so you can't have people's hands blocking those markers that the camera needs to see. So we had to develop a whole new technology using mechanical tracking. And that had never been done before in any robotic surgery, in any medical market. I know Mako had attempted it, and there was a couple of other companies that tried other tracking technologies, but we had to solve that to make the device easy enough to use. And we knew ease of use and usability is make or break for any disruptive technology. So with a lot of effort and innovation, we ended up designing a mechanical tracking system that's out of the way, easy to use, never has any line of sight issues, so there's no stereo cameras involved, ends up being faster, more responsive, and much easier to use. And that was one of the many uh-ohs we had to get through to really solve and make this adaptable at scale.
And what does this do for the confidence of the doctor, the stress levels of the doctors?
Exactly. I mean, that's a big part of it, is making it easy enough so that it doesn't add stress, and at the same time solves a lot of the things that may cause stress, making sure you're not going to hit a nerve or another tooth root. You're going to get the parallelism if that's what you're looking for. You're going to have an easier job restoring the patient. All of these are meant to reduce stress, but you have to do it in a way where you also don't add problems. So the registration is instant. You've got some markers in the image. The tracking is very easy. You don't have to worry about line of sight problems. So we have to be able to cure a lot of those concerns without adding any stress along the way.
And talk about patient acceptance and patient education.
So I think on the patient acceptance side, it's another key factor here. A lot of patients want to know that they're not only going to a great dentist, but a great dentist that has the latest technology. It's a sign that you're keeping up with the times, that you're really investing in your ability to stay current and provide the best care. And robotics is obviously a very hot topic, even among lay patients and consumers. They automatically assume robotics will level you up, that it's going to provide greater accuracy, and that leads ultimately to more patient acceptance. And I think a key for us is we don't take over. It's not an autonomous robot. You can explain to the patient, as a dentist, you're still very much in the loop. And we've heard that a couple times in the talks today, where human in the loop is critical. We're not trying to replace the human doctor. We're trying to augment them, make them more accurate. And so you can explain to a patient, with this technology, I have the potential to do more flapless cases, to adapt to any intraoperative challenges that come up, but still get robotic precision and accuracy. And so I think for that, it really ends up helping that relationship with the patient without scaring them that robots are just taking over.
That's great. You know, Sergio Ophir a few times, who was the CEO, one of the founders of Pearl, which is an AI, serious AI company that's out in the marketplace. Lots of officers have it. Tell us how many, if you want to. And was it initially built as just a tool to read X-rays, or did you have a different vision when you first started out with this whole thing?
Yeah, great to be here. So I've been in the applied computer vision space, teaching computers to see and interpret the world for a variety of applications over that period of time. And made the decision around 2015 that this application of radiologic AI in medicine with radiography was an inevitability we were very interested in. We're in a position to start pursuing research around that then. My father also was a dentist, and I grew up very much in that environment. I think dentistry is incredibly well suited to the adoption of this technology for a whole host of reasons, more than the rest of medicine. I won't go through all of them, but for example, there is just a massive volume of imagery captured every day. There's a lot of inherent utility in that fact alone. I also like that we are significantly assisting practitioners and not sort of dislodging radiology. There's a whole other realm of what this technology is doing elsewhere, which is a different dynamic. And also, dental practices are very entrepreneurial environments that could intake new technology as quickly as they find that to be valuable. It's very different than selling to a large hospital system. For a lot of reasons, decided to focus specifically on dentistry. The idea was always that if we could unlock a clinical understanding of a patient population, that would lend itself to a significant amount of value creation long term. So it was never just about radiologic AI, but that was an underpinning for being able to do really magical work across the practice, because that historically has been part of the challenge, is that everyone is sitting on these mountains of data because dentistry has been digitized. But if you can't interpret that data productively, then it's not that useful. And this is the case with all forms of data, not just radiographic. So obviously core to the work that we do is work in 2D and 3D radiologic AI, which is a very intense capability to build accurately and with all the requisite clearances, etc. But a lot of the magic that happens when you also are able to mirror that to other data sources and really have a holistic understanding of the operations of a practice.
Talk about patient communication.
Yeah, patient communication is very core to what we do. So, one of the key pieces of feedback that we get where there's an amount of delight associated with it is that in an exam, dentists feel that they have more time to interact with patients on a human level because they're not trying to kind of laboriously go through these radiographs and explain confusing things to the patient. It becomes, first of all, just very productive and non-burdening from a practitioner perspective if you immediately are able to identify all the conditions of pathology that have been surfaced by the AI. But then you can obviously communicate that in a colorized manner. You can augment that with anatomical tooth segmentation. So suddenly you're having a conversation about a very clear picture, and that becomes obviously more trust building and just more understandable for the patient, which of course leads to higher cases.
So we're here to talk about disruption. And we just had a number of dental school deans sitting here, and I've spoken to a few deans, and the dental students are coming to the dean saying, we don't have to learn how to read x-rays anymore, because the computer's going to do it for us. And the way I explain it in my lectures, I say, Jiminy Cricket's sitting on your shoulder saying, hey, look at that. But how do you approach this?
Yeah, well, I definitely think that's the wrong takeaway. I think that, like the tool here is it's literally classified and it's intended to use as an assistive device. It does, for the clinical trials and just day-to-day evidence, surface a lot more conditions that are just either undiagnosed or not getting through to the patient record or getting on the plan. It is also a technology that can make errors, will make errors, and one should also be aware of that. So the idea is to sort of unburden the dentist and help them along that path, but the notion, of course, is that they should be the expert. They're making the final decision. Our system is called second opinion. They're the first opinion. However, I will say that a big problem, I think, with dentistry is that students are leaving university, per the admission of every dean I've ever spoken to, not fully proficient at reading radiography, and that's not a good position to be in because now you're stumbling in the operatory and you're missing stuff. One of the really cool things that we do in an environment for associate practitioners is we're able to surface all the activity over a period of time. You're able to see everything that was sort of diagnosed, not diagnosed, and everything along the chain. And you're able to pull up all the clinical evidence behind the activity so that you can actually have clinical conversations with staff that enable them to actually understand their areas of proficiency and deficiency and enable them to get trained up really quickly. It's not this like black box of, every once in a while there'll be like some tension on it and I don't like action, then I think I'm good at this but not at this. You just see it black and white. So it's an incredibly powerful training tool and it's very demystifying in that regard.
I have to jump, I'm watching my clock here, so I have to jump over to John Cox. John and I have been on more podiums than you can imagine, talking about the latest technologies, the latest and greatest. John is now principal in Sprint Rate, and we say, well, it's just another printing company. Well, it actually isn't just another 3D printing company, because most of the 3D printing companies that we see in dentistry are not 3D printing companies. It's a gigantic company that does 3D printing for every industry, and there's the dental division. So talk a little bit about the founding of this company, what the whole message was in the first place.
Sure, thanks, Paul. Am I on? Yeah, you hear me? First, I'd like to echo Steve Thorne's comment earlier. I wish I was younger to take advantage of the next 10 years in dentistry because they're going to be the most exciting, probably the most exciting decade, and I've been here 42 years. And it really is an exciting time. Sprint Rate, when we got in the business, we started making printers. And we realized that we're going to be successful. It's not about making printers, it's about delivering workflow to dental practices to deliver quality care. And to do that, you have to control the hardware, you have to control the software, you have to control the material science, and now, pepper on top of that, you need to control the AI. Or you have to have the access to the AI to drive the design. And if you're not serious about all four of those aspects, then you're going to have a gap in the offering you bring to the market. I think that's been part of our secret sauce for sure, is making sure that we control all aspects of the delivery of a frictionless workflow to the dental practice.
And the focus is 100% dentistry, and not doing buildings and doing plates and
No.
refrigerators.
I mean, some of the founders have done buildings as part of a side gig, but no, all we do is dentistry.
So, as a disruptor, you're looking at the laboratory workflow here a little bit. We always talk about one visit dentistry, same day dentistry, and you came out with an amazing product a short time ago called Midas. So let's just talk about that. People don't know what it is.
Sure, and let me dispel a myth. I think disruptor to me is not the word. I think we're an enabler, and we are working hard to connect the lab environment to the practice environment. And as a matter of fact, this show we're launching something called Lab Connect, and it's really connecting our tens of thousands of sprint rate printers to the labs. And the opportunity, we believe, as a company, we believe 50% of dentistry will be delivered chairside, arm's length from the patient. That's going to happen. Material science is advancing faster than ever. Hardware workflows are getting easier. And when things get easier, faster, more convenient, and deliver quality care, it's inevitable that it's going to get done chairside. That's going to happen. But 50% of it is still going to have to be done in the lab. And to connect those labs with the practices to deliver efficient workflow, that's the mission that we're on. We're not here to disrupt any relationship with practices to the labs. We're here to enhance it, to deliver more patient care. At the end of the day, if we know if we can deliver a treatment in one visit, then it should be done. Because a patient doesn't have to come back. Because a patient, if they have to come back, what do? They say no. Or they delay, and they may never come back. The idea of delivering care in one visit should be the ultimate goal of every practice out there. But you can't deliver every care in one visit. So there's still plenty of room for labs. And Midas is a great example. What if you could deliver a smile to every patient who needed a smile? And the stats that I've seen, over 50% of adults are unhappy with their smile. What if you could deliver a smile in less than 20 minutes? And maybe it's just a try in the smile. But I would argue that a smile is as powerful as oral health is to the overall health of the body from a psychological standpoint. When you give somebody a smile that doesn't have a smile, it changes their life. It changes their self-worth, their confidence, what they bring to the job, what they bring to the relationship, and it also improves their overall health. That's the mission. That's the exciting stuff that we're working on now. And this is a multi-unit Midas cartridge, and we're launching it in Chicago. But there's never been a more exciting time for technology to help deliver care faster, more affordably, more predictable, so patients can get access to it. And if a dentist can do something in one visit, it just drives productivity and profitability. And we love the connectivity to the lab. I'm sitting beside a large lab here, and I say that with sincerity. We're working hard to make that connection for the benefit of the patient.
That's great. So speaking of a laboratory, this is Joe Lynch. Joe is the principal of Dandy Labs. If you don't know about Dandy Labs, this is a disruptor. This is a real disruptor to the lab space. Is Stephanie still in the room? Let's see her. Stephanie Goddard was just sitting here a little while ago, the CEO. Oh, there you are. The CEO of Glidewell, which is a great laboratory, and they have a certain workflow that they've been using forever. And Dandy came along and said, we have another idea. So, Joe, take it away.
Yeah, so Dandy was founded 5 years ago, really to rethink how service delivery goes from a dentist to the lab and then lab back to the patient. So vertically integrated fully from, actually as John was saying, software, hardware, manufacturing, and design. And then we pair that with world-class clinical support at point of care so that dentist, Dandy work together hand in hand to deliver great patient outcomes.
And what is this? Just explain the workflow. It's a different workflow, and then you fill a few curveballs with some free stuff.
Yeah. So the model is every dentist gets access to a Dandy scanner, and in exchange, we send them lab volume. So a dentist will get trained. We've trained, I think, more dentists and clinicians on digital dentistry than anyone. So upwards of 50,000 clinicians between dentists and hygienists have been trained on how to take digital impressions. And from there, we work with them from start to finish. A patient will come in, we'll take a digital impression. while they're chairside, they can chat into one of our lab technicians. We can review their scan at a point in time, or we use AI to check the scan for quality inputs. From there, we take it to our design team, goes to our manufacturing lab, where we've introduced a ton of automation for us to deliver great quality consistently, and then we deliver it right to a practice.
And what you've done is, and this goes for all the laboratories, is you've introduced dentists who were always taking impressions that I want to get involved in digital dentistry. How many thousands of people do you think you work with digital dentistry by just by doing this?
Yeah, so 50,000 or more total. Probably 20,000 dentists, and then the assistants in those practices, because ultimately what we see as time savings for the practice helps drive same-store growth. So if you're a practicing dentist, your assistants can now take impressions. Digital dentistry enables that transition.
And this will, nothing against Dandy, nothing for Glidewell itself, but dentists are learning how to do that. So if they decide to leave Dandy, they're all in the digital space and ready to the whole process.
Yeah, I think the model here is we want dentists to choose the best lab for them. And ultimately, we sign, like a dentist can leave at any point. We believe that retention is the ultimate leading indicator of success with a dentist. So there's no contract, there's no long-term commitment. We win every single order, one order at a time. And that, I believe, is the ultimate success metric for any business.
So I'll start with you on part two. We'll have a discussion of what happens next with Dandy, where are you going? Are you going to have your own laboratories and things like that? So what do you tell us about?
Yeah. I would say there's two main growth vectors for us. One is obviously bridging the education gap for dentists and their patients. So enabling real-time chairside support, real-time visualization of smile design, what the aesthetics will look like for a patient, and bridging that gap between clinicians and their patients. The second is really around advanced automation. We just launched the most advanced lab in the world in Provo, and it's truly a game changer in terms of what manufacturing automation, a world-class like frontier AI model can help deliver in terms of AI design, and then best-in-class technicians to actually deliver those end products consistently to dentists.
Back to what do you see for robotics moving all along to the next step in healthcare for us?
Yeah, I think if you look at the Yomi system, our robot that's been in the market now for years, we've done more than 100,000 implants. But over those years, and with all those implants done, we've gathered a lot of insights. And so we, over the last few years, basically redesigned from the ground up the Yomi robotic system, and we just got FDA clearance last year and launched our new Yomi S. So it's a complete overhaul in terms of user interface design, really making it easy to adopt into any practice. We think we want to scale this and expand all kinds of dental surgery procedures. So we actually have both the Yomi and the Yomi S here on site. I encourage everyone to come back and do the Pepsi Challenge and tell us if you think there have been some good improvements with this latest redesign. But this becomes our new platform to really expand into lots of indications.
So I'm still on time, so I can ask you a second question. What role does feedback of your customers or your clients give to you? What's that role?
I think that's critical. The years and the utilization that we've gotten on the original system required a lot of that feedback just to make it easy enough to use, and that's what fed into this Yomi S new product, redesign of the robotic system. We have a clinical support team that's in the field every day. These Yomi systems are operating every day across the country. Every case, we get a feedback form. If there are any problems in the case, positive feedback, all of it tells us things that we're doing well or things that need improvement. And so if we can do it retroactively on some of the systems that are out there, we do that. And at some point we had to overhaul and redesign from the ground up. So I think there's that feedback from the clinicians, and not just the dentists, their staff, the assistants, their implant coordinators, everyone that plays a role in talking to the patient, in using the software, planning the case, setting up the robot. All of that feeds into making the product better.
Fear, same question, same two questions. What sort of feedback do you take a look at, and what has helped you evolve, and where are you evolving to?
I mean, yeah, so there's a lot of data that we interact with. Also, relevant tool sets has the ability to submit feedback, which is very useful to intake and interact with. I think a lot of the opportunities for improvement are also sort of well understood on some level, and just like on the roadmap, there's a lot of things to do well. You were also asking about what comes.
What's your crystal ball?
Yeah, I think we're just living through such a profound moment. Like, it is so revolutionary because the way that software is even being developed is moving to a much more agentic forward reality, which mean and it really is changing every week and just becoming more powerful every week. But I think what that means is that like the quality and the quantity of the output is going to continue to accelerate. And what we thought was on the roadmap, in a year or two from now, could actually be brought forward much more significantly. In terms of the things that we're working on, obviously there's the core radiologic AI component, a ton of sort of what I would say provider-centric RCM-oriented activity to increase predictability of claims and the adjudication of those claims. And that is, I think, a very important, very painful problem to solve for practices. And a huge amount of work also around automation of just like historically rote tasks that can be automated away and return significant time back to a practice. So obviously that's a very sort of high-level statement, but there's a lot of specific ways in which that is already happening today.
And then, John, you should show us something brand new coming out this week. And what is your crystal ball? And also talk to feedback from your patient base, from your customer base.
So voice of customer for Sprint is critical, and I would say it shaped the company, not only the company where we are today, but also the products we bring forward. We take the voice of customer very seriously, and we're always listening and always learning. From a standpoint of what's next-gen restorative materials, the whole area of material science is moving so quickly, and the idea that we believe we'll have the next-gen in ceramic materials will have higher concentrations of glass and ceramic than previous. Minus gives us the ability to press versus print, so it gives us some advantages in dealing with materials. We'll continue to develop and evolve those. The idea that our AI software, learning from the AI, where a dentist can prep, leave, and the team can deliver an indirect restoration, maybe a partial coverage ground, in minutes. The dentist comes back maybe 20 minutes later and bonds it in place. So delivering a better quality experience for the patient. They're not left with their mouth open the whole time, building up a composite direct. There's better processes and better opportunities. I think that's what's next for us. It's really leaning into the restorative space and doing everything we can to deliver single care or single visit care is we're laser focused on. And of course, Spirit Rate, there's always something next from a hardware standpoint. So you just have to wait long enough and you'll see it.
And Joe, you've already told us where your crystal ball is a little bit, but talk about the clinicians' feedback to you as you move on this process.
Yeah. Our whole roadmap comes from clinicians. So actually ran into 2 clinicians today, got their feedback on the product. One pushing us for growth and one sharing a little bit of feedback about the consistency of some of the prosthetics that they've received, which was fantastic. More specifically, we have both products forward on the roadmap. One of the things that we heard most pressing from clinicians was reducing the variance between assistants and dentists inside of DSOs. And AI allows us to bridge that gap, right? So you can demonstrate chairside what a good prep looks like, whether or not we have all the data required for a full impression, and actually to surface that immediately during the patient visit, which is a novel use of AI that allows DSOs and practices to, again, eliminate skill variance. A lot of customers have the exec team's phone numbers. You can reach us anytime. Our phone support runs whenever a practice is open, we're open. And we roll it up and pull it up both the data and the customer anecdotes every Monday at our ELT meeting.
All right, so the feedback I got from today was from John that they're not disruptors. They're helping us, they're really helping us a lot. And I'm going to give this to Marty to prove. I watched the clock, and I have 1 minute. Sure.
Okay. Pauline. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, he did it. He actually did it.